Good day, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another session of EU Business Talks. My name is Ante Milevoj, and it is my pleasure to introduce you our guest of honor of today, Mr. Eliodor Apostolescu, Managing Director at Phoenix Group from Bacău, Romania. Eliodor, good day to you and most welcome.
Hello, Ante, and hello to everybody. Nice to meet you online.
Thank you very much.
This is the first time for me when I'm doing this that kind of meeting with such important person. So please apologize if I will be a little bit scared.
No worries, Eliodor. You are safe with us, and dear friends, I have to put a very good point on behalf of Eliodor as well. He just returned from his holidays. Yes. So he will be in a very extra good mood today with us as well. Today, chat is special also because we have also a second guest that I want to introduce at the very beginning, the colleague of Eliodor, Mr. Dan Laurentiu, Business Development Manager of the same company. Dan, hello to you as well and most welcome. Yes, we did see you. We understood your body language once.
Thank you very much. Glad to be in touch and to be present along with Mr. Eliodor to join to this Zoom meeting.
Thank you. Okay, so Eliodor, let me, if you allow me, just start with some ice-breaking questions. We are pleased to host a very respectable company from Romania. You as a general manager and the owner of the company. May I firstly start by some general questions? How is your national economy going on these days, weeks and months within this year? Can you share your assessment in a couple of sentences for us?
In the statistic, I understood that the numbers look well, but I suppose that our economy is based off world economy, so it is in the same situation with what happened all over the world. I cannot say that we are living in a separate planet which is called Băicoi or Gusto or Romania. So anything's happened all over the world. This is exactly what happened to Romania. The effect of pandemic affect our economy as it happened all over the world. It's normal if branches of economy are closed, not because they could not work, but because of the pandemic, like restaurant, hotels, tourism, and so many other activity connected. Of course, all these sectors which are closed affect the rest of the one, because economy is like a chain. If I have to give you a short example, that one of our suppliers for foil, packaging foil for our product, tell me, when I ask him, why do you increase the price of the raw material with almost 40–45% with the foil and the printing foil for the packaging? Because in the last period, a lot of company closed, so the sales are smaller. So normally it should be that the prices should go down, not go up. And he explained, because of the airplane which are not flying, the fraction of the oil from which BOPP is made is the fraction which remain from the kerosene made for airplanes. So if the airplanes are not flying, refineries doesn't produce kerosene. If they don't produce kerosene, they don't have the second fraction, which is okay, which we use for foil. So because of the airplane which are not flying, the price of the BOPP granule double up. So that's why the cost of your product will increase because of the foil.
This is a great insight, Eliodor.
This is one perfect example, as I understand how the chains of economy is acting. If somebody would ask me last year if I have any connection with the flights, my product Pufuleța have any connection with the flights, I would say no. We have some clients which are selling our product in their planes, so I will be affected if they will not fly, but nothing the rest. No, the price of the packaging increased 40%.
Eliodor, this is really a great argument for all of us. So it's a domino effect in all aspects of the economy, our daily life. But also, I liked very much your comment that each of us are not living on a different planet. You know, we are all in the same boat. That's a very nice one, and
Yes.
we are influenced by many things that are not, you know, straightforward at first glance for us. Yet, when you put the numbers in Excel file, they do make a very good change. Yeah. So since you are mentioning flights, Eliodor, from the start of epidemic, what has changed in your flight routine? Let me put it this way: how often are you flying?
Before, around 90-100 flights per year. It was so usual before of that I even forgot to tell my wife that I'm flying to London and coming back in the evening. So this is how it was, the life before, and the business activity. Maybe 50 flights per year, taking the first airplane in the morning and coming with the latest flight in the evening was something normal. And since December 2019, no, March, let's say March 2020, I had a single flight.
Not even one. So everything. One. Okay.
Yes, one.
So the rest, your
The
daily
rest was only online and meetings. As a developer of the business with the existing customer, it was okay because they stay at home and it was easier for them to strengthen the connection and the cooperation with the existing suppliers. But in terms of having new clients, new market, it was very difficult because many times face-to-face meeting and visiting clients, having them the opportunity to visit our factory, to visit our company, or if we are going there, it's completely different than talking online. But we have done our best in this condition, which was the planet Earth.
Pleased to hear that. Also, when I was doing my homework, I saw your yearly turnovers, and pleased to see that file as well. So Eliodor, before I read our invite specifics on your company, I would dare to ask you one last short question in this phase. Since these are EU business talks after all, and you are of course a member country, but you in particular, you are a businessman as well. You had been doing your business before joining European Union and also now. Can you share with us just a couple of points? How do you see pre-EU times, these times now, and where do you see yourself within EU in 5-10 years?
Our company, our nation is in EU or EU in planet? Where do I see our position in as a member as EU, or where do I see EU?
Your personal view, how, since you are in business for 30 years.
First of all, okay, understood. First of all, it was easier. It was easier for us after EU.
Okay.
No, there's another problem. Coming from Eastern Europe country, we have a label before, let's say 10 years ago, who says that our economy is not at the same level that Western country economies, which was not different from reality. But with this label, it was very, very difficult for us to demonstrate, to prove them that our company are reliable, are serious, and our product are marketable in all the countries, not only in Romania. So we have to fight double or triple than if our company would be based, for example, in a Western Europe country. But working and explaining at the end of the line, on the other side, there were also people. So my opinion is that companies which are working, which are making good products and very reliable and all in the market with experience, has a business to sell. And but so our company has a business, has product who brings profit to our company and to our partners, to our clients. We are selling business. We don't go there to we win and they lose. No, we win, they win. So we have a business. And at the end, we are talking with people. So we are a serious company. We have good products. They can be sold. They can bring profit. All the ingredients to have a business partnership. How we discuss, how we create the networking, social networking between us and our partners is the way how the company grows and the business becomes stable or blossom or become bigger and bigger. This is my concept. Business is made by people.
I can relate myself to that as well, you know, and also my experience are teaching me, you know, don't judge anyone by the cover, you know. At the end of the day, we are all human, made of same blood. But of course, you know, in the course of work, you meet every type of people, you know, and you have to put your experience, but at the same time stay idealistic, I would say, and continue and go forward. Okay, dear friends, dear Eliodor, thank you for this first part. Let me read the invitation letter, Eliodor, and then we will take it from there. So, Phoenix Group, the largest corn puffs producer in Romania, one of the largest ones in Europe. The company generated over 32 million euros in revenues in last year and is exporting its products in 30 plus countries worldwide. Apart from their core business, company is also active in machine parts and logistics business. So Eliodor, why have you chosen together with your partner back 29 years ago, corn puffs? How did you see that niche becoming such a great success?
I was student in that period. I was student. I complete electrical engineer in Bucharest, in university in Bucharest, in 1995, and I established a company in 1992. I started the company selling ice cream at the corner of the street when I was student during the vacation, and then I developed recipe for ice cream powder, which make us rich, let's say. Then until finishing university in 1995, the company had already 3 years and more than $1 million profit. I had in that period about 25 employees. So I never thought that I should work in some other company because I already have mine. So when I finish university, I have to think. I work only with ice cream because it suits very well with the years of university. Ice cream is going very well during the summer vacation and the rest is almost zero. But what shall I do after finishing university? From autumn, I cannot go back to school because it was finished. What else shall I do? And because I needed a lot of money for the next season with the ice cream, I say I will do something cheap, small, only to keep my employees, to keep the people employed during the winter for the next season, keep them for the next season. So I say, okay, let's do something easy to be done, which was corn puff. I can sell it easy. It's a very cheap product. I can keep my people for next ice cream season. I was lucky and unlucky. I was lucky because I found a producer, an ex-communist factory in Romania who were working in that period, and I bought an extruder for them. It was around $5,000 in that period, and that amount I afford. Imagine that one extrusion line for big groups cost maybe 2-3 million euro. That money I didn't have in that period. So buying that cheap extruder, I started this activity, but the extruder was not very well done. They didn't know how to make the good technology for extrusion. So my puffs, the structure of the puff were inconstant, always varying from very hard puffs to very soft. But sometimes I saw one puff which was exactly like the one that I'm producing today. Being an engineer, I realized that there are some parameters that goes to that product. So I say, if I discover this parameter, I can stabilize them. I can create a technology which make this product, in which I believe strongly, and I will make this product, this puff, special, different of the rest of the corn puff existing on the market, and very good. I was lucky again because without knowing any technology about extruder, I start to work myself and my employees on this extruder, and I start to modify. I start to notice and make recording, make studies, and then I make drawings for the parts. I modify in a mechanical workshop, small mechanical workshop, then I put again on the machine. And just after just 1 year later, I succeed to stabilize the process. I said just 1 year because in terms of developing and research, this period is very short. I didn't know that I made something special. I found this in 2005 when the company started to sell a lot of puffs. For example, the total sales of puffs in Romania in 1995 was 400,000 bags per year for all Romania.
Okay.
And in 2005, we were selling 100 million bags per year.
How much is this daily, just to have an idea?
Now we are producing 1.2 million bags per day. This is why our production capacity for puffs, it's maybe the biggest one in Europe. I never seen in some other place a bigger one, not in United States or on other continents and Asia, but maybe exist, but I don't know. Another bigger production.
Sorry to cut you off here because I have to look on the watch as well. So if I can skip this 27, 8, 9 years forward, today you are a successful group exporting to 30 plus countries, mainly in Europe, European Union, I assume, but also otherwise, elsewhere on other continents. My question to you, before I give the floor to our friends here in the room to type their questions on the chat box, who are your customers? Who are you selling to today? At least with the corn puffs, I mean.
Clients are importers and retailers. In this moment, we sell around 60%, maybe 65% of our total sales to retailers. For example, we are a global supplier for Kaufland, global supplier for Reve International. We work with Lidl in many countries, with Aldi in many countries, in Carrefour, Auchan, biggest European retailer. We work with them in many countries. So 65% of our sales goes to the retailers, and 35% goes to the traditional trade, which in different countries is very strong. In Romania, it's still strong. In East Europe, for example, in Belgium, there are thousands of independent shops which are not part of retailers. So many countries we use also importer and distributor.
And you are keeping within these independent shops, you are keeping your own brand Gusto as a front face of your sales?
Even in retailers. Also in retailers, because we having a patenting technology and a product unique, we succeed to convince many of them to work with our brand Gusto. In this moment, as far as I know, Gusto it's the only Romanian brand which is listed at the main shelf in the biggest retailer of Europe. Even hard discounter, even in hard discounter where they have 99% of them private labels, we have Gusto listed. Not all the SKU, but 2-3 SKU and another 5-6 on private label. But we try to keep strong our brand because this is our identity. And I believe that the identity of a company, the identity of a nation is very important. We try to keep it strong. If we work only with private label, nobody will know you and nobody will know that you are unique. And it's talking in business, it's risky because private label means a tender every year. Every year it's a tender. And always, I notice that always there's another company who want to give a lower price. And I saw many situations when they give a price under the cost, the production cost, just to get in. So if you based on private label, today you can have 1,000 employees, and next year you can be 0 or you can be bankrupt. So you have to keep a very good balance between private label and your brand.
It's a very wise thinking, Eliodor. I've seen a couple of companies myself who have lost, unfortunately, this game from one year to another in this exact the same argument that you are sharing with us.
We keep 10% private label, 90% our brand.
Sure.
So it's safe.
Okay, dear friends, it's always a pleasure for me to see that you are here from at least Zagreb, Croatia and Vietnam. I also prefer to read some of your questions for our guest. Feel free to do so. In the meantime, Eliodor, let me ask you one more thing. When we were examining your group website, it is obvious that what your core business is about, but you have a second and triple business as well over there. Can you share with us what your machine parts business is about and logistics business is about? Are they to support your core business or the independent ones?
Yes. In 2005, when I tried to buy extruding technology from the biggest producer all over the globe, and I took my product to them, I said, look, I saw your company. I know that you are making extruders, entire technology. I want an extruder who make this. And talking with the parent of the corn puffs, she told me, how did you do that? Our company is trying to obtain a similar product in the last 40 years, and we couldn't succeed and we couldn't stabilize the process. In that moment, I realized that what I've done when I was a student, accidentally, with just 1 year of research, create a unique product. Next day, I come back home, I took my products, and I patented the technology. From that moment, I stopped producing the part, because before that I had my drawing. I give the drawing to mechanical companies that they are producing the parts, and I make the installation of the machine by myself in the company. From that moment, I developed the mechanical workshop, which has only 12 people. But with these 12 people, I create so many equipment, worth maybe 50 million euro at least. Without doing this, I couldn't be in the moment and the position where I am today. So this was a part of the business. We make it internal for us, but doing good parts, doing good equipment, we will become step-by-step supplier for Unilever, for Nestle, for PepsiCo, and for different clients who bought machine from us, but not extruder. This is only for us. And the part of logistic, it's regarding the transport. We have a very cheap product, and the cost of transport are huge. Normally, a snacks company can sell profitable in an area 1,000 kilometers surrounding the factory. But we sell even in the United States, we sell even in all over Europe, Japan, New Zealand. So we have to reduce the cost. That's why we develop our own fleet of trucks and the logistic department to deliver our product. And based on the fact that we have routes, for example, last year we export to Germany 5,000 trucks. I believe our company has the biggest number of routes from Romania to Germany. So having this part, having the truck service, it was easy for us to take order for return. In this way, I compensate doing this activity. I compensate the transport cost, and it was helpful for us not to build a factory in Germany, and we could deliver from here, which was easier for the beginning.
Okay, Eliodor, just to have an idea, how many trucks are leaving your factory daily?
100 trucks, below
100 daily.
100 daily.
7 days a week?
6 days a week.
Okay, lucky you. We are entering, Eliodor, last couple of minutes. Let me read fastly the questions I see, and I ask you for your fast to the point answers. What were your channels to enter big sales chains, Rewe and others? What were your channels? How did you successfully get inside?
It was a very hard entrance. We started 12 years ago, and it was 15 years ago, and 12 years was unsuccessful.
12, 1, 2.
Almost 12 years for some of them. First of all, when we send the RSQ from Romania, clank, the phone was beep beep. Then I send the sample. Then I send the letters by post, by email, by all the methods. After 10 years, they say, "Who's that guy? What do you want from us?" I have a good product. I want to cooperate with you. Oh, finally, okay, come here. And then meeting them, they say, I remember it was a lady, a buyer from Medica from Germany. She was eating our product, which is not usually during the testing, but she say, "Scheiße, it's not good product, but I don't know what I continue to eat. Okay, I will list it. But I'll take you out immediately if you don't sell." And our product sells 50 bags per week per shop, which is 10 times more, 5 times more, 500% more than the most from the best snacks best sell. Usually snacks are sold between 6 to 10 bags per week per shop, and we sell immediately 50.
Okay. We will extend a minute or two, Primož, if you allow us, because we want to have these questions answered. Eliodor, do your best to be short and to the point. Do you produce only in Romania? Are you having plans?
Yes.
At this moment, yes?
Yes.
What about in the next couple of years, 5 years, 10 years?
Normally, because we have big sales in many other countries, we should develop own factory there.
Okay. Your product has gluten-free certification?
My product is gluten-free, but we don't have gluten-free certification in this moment because we should create total separate spaces. Even the product are gluten-free.
So you are planning to have that paper in near future?
Because I didn't see. We have 18 different standards implemented, but I haven't seen such a big interest if I put gluten-free.
Okay, so it's not a must.
Sales will explode after that.
The next one from Brankica. Hi, Brankica. Good to see you or to read you. Eliodor, Brankica is asking, by logistic part of the business, are there support just your own core production, or you offer service also on the market with logistics capacities? I mean, are you open for cooperation in this respect?
Yes. Yes, we start to work with important companies in order to ensure the coming back route for Romania and also for logistic department for support. We work with the logistic warehouses and in different countries, and we offer the same support with our warehouse.
Okay. Our dear friend from India, Vinayak, any plans to set up a presence in India, Eliodor?
Not for the moment.
Okay. Do we have any other question, Primush? That's it. Okay. So we are 3 minutes past the hour, dear friends. Eliodor, done. Maybe I give you last 20 seconds to address our friends here in the room. There are plenty, Eliodor, potential businessmen, businesswomen who would supposed to link up with you as a follow-up of this event. So maybe you can address them in any way you see that is appropriate.
Thank you very much. And first of you, Ante, thank you for invitation and for this opportunity. And for all of them who trust in the power they have, as a people who believe in that strength, I'm the one who can cooperate with them. I believe that business are made by people, business is made by people, and join people from many other countries, we can be strong. This is my belief.
Thank you very much.
You.
Dan, do you want to get inside?
Yes, just 5 seconds. I saw some questions regarding our presence in Taiwan, if we are trying to export to Africa. Yes, we are interested in having our presence as well in Taiwan, in Africa countries. So all people interested can send to export at phoenixsea.ro all their queries, and I could reply to all of them.
Then please do your best to type your email over in the chat box so that the people will see it. And also, dear friends, as normally, I would put a nice follow-up email of today's session with you all. I will share both Eliodor's and Dan's contacts, and you will be able to step in direct communication with them. Eliodor, Dan, you were great guests. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for presenting us your country, your company. I wish your turnover to boom up this year and all next years as well. And
we are doing a good job for sure.
Above all, I wish both of you and all of us to stay healthy and rock and roll in the future as well. Thank you again. Our next guest.
Thank you, Ante.
With pleasure. Our next guest this time next week will be Nicholas Takas from Thessaloniki, Greece. Until that time, I wish you a nice day forward, or to our dear friend from Tokyo, Katsuei-san, I wish you a good night, and we keep in touch. Bye-bye.
Sure.